I should have known something was wrong when I saw my mother's car in the driveway at 2 in the afternoon. She never comes home early from the real estate office, not even when she's sick. But there it was, her silver Mercedes parked next to my beaten-up Honda Civic. My name is Evelyn, Evie to the few people who actually like me, and this was the day my family decided I wasn't worth keeping around anymore. The front door was unlocked. Inside, cardboard boxes lined the entryway, stuffed with what I recognized as my belongings. My books, my clothes, even the small ceramic elephant collection my dad left me before he died. Everything I owned, packed up without my knowledge or consent. "Mom," I called out, my voice echoing through our too-perfect house. "What's going on?" She appeared from the kitchen, arms crossed, wearing that expression I'd grown familiar with over the years, disappointment mixed with something colder. My stepfather Silas stood behind her, his face red with barely contained anger. "We know what you did to Silas's garden," my mother said, her voice clipped and certain. "Lila saw you pour the weed killer." My stomach dropped. Of course Lila was behind this. My half-sister had been trying to get rid of me since our parents married 3 years ago. But this was a new low. "That's impossible," I said, fighting to keep my voice steady. "I was at work all weekend." Ask Gideon at the diner. I pulled double shifts. "Stop lying," Silas cut in. "Those roses were award-winning. 10 years of work, destroyed in one night. Lila has no reason to make this up." I laughed, though nothing was funny. "No reason? Are you serious? Pack whatever isn't already in boxes," my mother said, sliding a piece of paper across the kitchen counter. "I've written down Nana Ruth's address. She's agreed to take you in until you figure something out." My grandmother, my real father's mother. They were sending me to the one person they knew would help me, thinking it was some kind of punishment. If I wasn't so hurt, I might have appreciated the irony. "Mom, I tried one last time. Please just listen." "I think we've all heard enough," she interrupted, turning away. "Be out by tonight." As I watched them walk away, my mother and stepfather retreating to their perfect life with their perfect daughter, something inside me hardened. They wanted me gone? Fine. But they'd learn soon enough what happens when you trust a snake like Lila. I pulled out my phone and called the one person who'd always believed in me. "Nana, it's happening. They're kicking me out. Come home, sweetheart," she said without hesitation. "We'll figure this out together." Nana Ruth's house smells exactly like it did when I was a kid, fresh bread and lavender, with just a hint of her favorite bourbon. It's smaller than I remember, but then again, everything seems smaller when you're forced to grow up. "Your mother called again," Nana says, setting down a mug of coffee in front of me. "It's been 3 days since they kicked me out. 3 days of ignored calls from Gideon and passive-aggressive texts from Mom about making things right." "Did she apologize?" I ask, already knowing the answer. Nana's silence says everything. She busies herself with watering her kitchen windowsill herbs, the same ones she's kept alive since before Dad died. She wanted to know if you'd reconsidered Silas's offer. I nearly choke on my coffee. What offer? To grovel for forgiveness for something I didn't do. To work at his construction company. Nana turns to face me, her expression carefully neutral. "In accounts receivable. Under Lila's supervision." The laugh that escapes me is bitter enough to curdle milk. Of course that's their solution. Put me under Lila's thumb where she can watch my every move. Keep your enemies closer, right? My phone buzzes. It's Gideon. "You okay? Haven't seen you at the diner. Worried about you." Before I can respond, another text comes through. This one's from Lila. "Hope you're enjoying your time out. Mom and Silas are so much happier without the drama." My hands shake as I set the phone down. Nana notices. She notices everything, and sits beside me, her weathered hands covering mine. "You know what your father used to say about revenge?" she asks, her voice gentle but firm. "That it's best served cold?" "No." She squeezes my hands. "He said the best revenge is living well. And you, my dear, are going to live brilliantly." I look up at her, seeing the same determination in her eyes that Dad used to have. "I've been thinking about beauty school, I admit. I've always been good with hair, and I've got some savings." Your father left you money for education, Nana says, standing up. She disappears into her study and returns with a thick envelope. I've been holding on to it, waiting for the right moment. My throat tightens. Mom said he didn't leave anything. Your mother says a lot of things. Nana's voice has an edge I've never heard before. Maybe it's time to stop listening to her and start listening to yourself. I open the envelope with trembling fingers. Inside is enough money to cover beauty school, and then some. Along with it, a note in my father's handwriting. For my Evie's dreams, whatever they may be. Well, Nana says, a smile playing at her lips. Shall we enroll you tomorrow? For the first time since being kicked out, I feel something other than anger. Something that feels a lot like hope. I wasn't planning to visit Silas's construction company. But when Gideon texted me about seeing Lila heading into a board meeting there, something pulled me across town. Maybe it was curiosity, or maybe just masochism. Either way, I found myself in the parking lot, watching suits file into the glass building where my stepfather built his empire. The security guard recognized me. I'd visited Mom for lunch often enough before everything fell apart. He waved me through with a sympathetic smile that made my stomach turn.
Great.
Even the staff knew about my fall from grace. I was heading to the bathroom when I heard them. Silas's voice carried through his office door, left slightly ajar. The transition will be smooth, he was saying. Lila's been shadowing me for months. The board already loves her. And what about Evelyn? A voice I didn't recognize. She is your stepdaughter too. Some of the older board members remember her father's contributions to the company. My father, the founding partner who died before he could see the company flourish. I pressed closer to the door, heart hammering. Evelyn isn't cut out for this world, Silas replied, his tone dismissive. Too emotional, too unfocused. Like her father, Robert had vision, but no discipline. Lila understands what it takes to succeed. I must have made a sound because the conversation stopped. Footsteps approached the door, and I ducked around the corner, nearly colliding with someone.
Evie?
It was Mom, holding a stack of real estate files. Her perfect makeup couldn't hide her surprise or her discomfort. What are you doing here? Before I could answer, Lila emerged from Silas's office. She froze when she saw me, then smiled that sugar-sweet smile that never reached her eyes. Oh, sis. Did you come to congratulate me? Daddy just made it official. I'm taking over as VP of Operations next month. The position my father held. The position that should have been discussed with both of Silas's stepchildren. Mom touched my arm, her fingers cold. Honey, we were going to tell you. I jerked away. Like you told me about Dad's education fund? The one you said didn't exist. Her face paled. Behind her, Silas appeared in the doorway, his expression darkening. You should leave, he said quietly. This is a place of business. I looked at each of them. My stepfather with his carefully constructed walls, my sister with her victory smile, my mother with her endless excuses, and felt something inside me snap clean in two. You're right, I said, straightening my shoulders. I should focus on my own business. Good luck with the company, Lila. I hope you're better at running it than you are at telling the truth. I walked out with my head high, already planning my next move. They wanted a businesswoman? Fine. I'd show them exactly what Robert Hartman's daughter could do. 3 months into beauty school, and my hands are raw from practicing highlights on mannequin heads until midnight. Between classes, my shift at the diner, and weekends assisting at a local salon, I barely have time to breathe. But every time I think about quitting, I remember Silas's words. Too emotional, too unfocused. You're getting really good at this, Gideon says, examining his reflection in the diner's window. I'd just given him a trim during my break, and even I have to admit the fade looks professional. Thanks for being my guinea pig. I wipe hair off his shoulders, trying to ignore the way my feet ache from standing all day. Speaking of pigs, he says carefully, Lila came into the diner yesterday. My hands freeze. And she was showing off some fancy business cards. Vice President of Operations. He catches my eye in the reflection. She also mentioned the company's opening a new development downtown, right where you were thinking of leasing that salon space. The scissors nearly slipped from my grip. The building I'd been saving for, the one with perfect lighting and reasonable rent, just happens to be where Silas's company is expanding? That's not a coincidence, I say, my voice tight. No, it's not. Gideon turns to face me. But maybe it's a blessing in disguise. That place needed too much work anyway. Before I can respond, my phone buzzes. It's an email from the beauty school's financial office. Payment past due, final notice. My stomach drops. I check my bank account. The education fund is almost depleted, eaten up by tuition and supplies. I'd been counting on that salon space's lower rent to make this work. Evie. Gideon's watching me with concern. What's wrong? The bell above the diner door chimes. My mother walks in, looking expensive and uncomfortable in this working-class setting. Our eyes meet, and for a moment, I see something like regret cross her face. Can we talk? She asks, clutching her designer purse like a shield. I'm working. It's about your father's company shares. She glances around the nearly empty diner. The ones you'll inherit when you turn 26. My birthday is next month. I'd completely forgotten about the shares, a small percentage, but voting rights nonetheless. Rights that could affect Lila's position. Let me guess, I say, understanding dawning. Silas wants to buy them. Mom's silence is answer enough. I look down at the past due notice on my phone, then at the hair clippings scattered around my feet. They want my inheritance? Fine. But this time, I'm setting the terms. Tell Silas I'll meet him tomorrow, I say, already forming a plan. And Mom? Make sure Lila's there too. We've got some family business to discuss. The meeting with Silas goes exactly as expected, right up until Lila bursts into tears. We're sitting in his office, the contract for my shares spread across his mahogany desk, when she starts sobbing about how sorry she is, how she never meant for things to go this far. I made a terrible mistake, she chokes out, mascara running. Daddy, I can't do this anymore. I have to tell the truth. Silas's face darkens. Lila, this isn't the time. The garden. She cuts in looking at me. I destroyed it. Not you. I thought if I got rid of you, everything would be perfect. But it's not. I'm drowning here. The silence that follows is deafening. My mother's perfectly manicured nails dig into the armrest of her chair. Silas looks like he's swallowed something bitter. Why now? I ask, my voice steadier than I feel. Because I need your help. Lila wipes her eyes, suddenly looking very young. I've made some decisions at the company. Some mistakes with the accounts. Enough. Silas stands abruptly. Evelyn, name your price for the shares. Let's end this. But I'm watching Lila, seeing past the tears to something more desperate in her eyes. She's not just confessing. She's reaching for a lifeline. Actually, I say, pulling the contract closer, I have a counteroffer. I'll sell my shares on one condition. You lease me the downtown property for my salon. At fair market value, with a 10-year fixed rate. Silas scoffs. You want to open a beauty salon in a prime business district? Yes. I meet his gaze. And I want Lila to work there. As my assistant. Absolutely not. He begins, but Lila interrupts. I'll do it. What? Mom finally speaks, looking horrified. I said I'll do it. Lila straightens, wiping away the last of her tears. Maybe I need to learn how to build something of my own, instead of just taking what belongs to other people. The look Silas gives her is equal parts fury and fear. He knows something I don't, something about those mistakes Lila mentioned. Fine, he snaps, pulling out a pen. But this stays between us. No one outside this room needs to know about any irregularities in the company accounts. As I watch him modify the contract, I realize I'm getting exactly what I wanted, but it feels hollow somehow. This isn't just about revenge anymore. Whatever Lila's done, whatever she's hiding, I've just made it my problem too. Welcome to the service industry, sis, I say, signing my name with a flourish. Hope you're ready to work. The smile she gives me is equal parts grateful and terrified. I know that look, it's the same one I wore the day they kicked me out. 3 months into running the salon, and I'm starting to think giving Lila a second chance was my biggest mistake yet. I watch in horror as Mrs. Peterson, one of our most loyal clients, storms out with half her hair bright orange instead of the subtle honey blonde she requested. I got distracted, Lila says, twirling her phone between her fingers. But it's not that bad. Not that bad. I grab the appointment book she's been neglecting. This is the third disaster this week. And where are the supply orders I asked you to place? She shrugs, that familiar look of practiced innocence crossing her face. I thought we had enough. I yank open the storage cabinet, nearly empty. We're almost out of everything, and our biggest wedding party booking is tomorrow. What's really going on, Lila? I ask, trying to keep my voice steady. Because this feels deliberate. Her phone buzzes. She glances at it, and for a second, real fear flashes across her face. I have to go, she says, grabbing her purse. Family emergency. We are family, I call after her, but she's already gone. I'm cleaning up her mess when Gideon appears with coffee, and that worried look he gets when he knows I'm in trouble. Your grandmother called me, he says. She's worried. Says you haven't been home in days. Can't leave the salon. Too much work. I scrub harder at the orange stain on the sink, especially with Lila. About that. He sets down his coffee. I saw her meeting with Silas yesterday. At the bank. My hand freezes. What? They looked intense. And I overheard something about accounts being frozen. The cleaning cloth drops from my fingers. I rush to my office, pull up our banking app. Access denied. I try another. Same message. My phone rings. It's my landlord. Miss Hartman? There's a problem with this month's rent payment. Everything clicks into place. The missing supplies. The ruined appointments. Lila's constant emergencies. She's been setting me up to fail. Again. I call Silas's office, but his secretary says he's unavailable. Permanently.
To me.
My phone buzzes with a text from Lila. Sorry, sis. Business is business. Daddy says the property's more valuable as office space anyway. Thanks for the beauty school lessons, though. I sink into my styling chair, surrounded by the salon I poured everything into. My savings. My inheritance. My trust in second chances. Gideon's hand lands on my shoulder. What do you need? I need, I say, my voice hardening, to make a phone call. Remember that client who works for the Securities and Exchange Commission? The one who kept talking about financial fraud investigations. Evie. They want to play business? I pull out my phone. Let's play business. But this time, we're using my rules. The SEC investigation hits the local news on a Tuesday. By Wednesday morning, Silas's company's stock has plummeted, and my mother is standing in my salon, mascara streaked down her face. What have you done? She demands, waving her phone. On the screen, headlines scream about financial fraud and misappropriated funds. They're saying Lila could go to jail. Funny how karma works. I continue sweeping up hair, refusing to meet her eyes. Maybe she should have thought about consequences before destroying my business. She's your sister. Half-sister, I correct. And she made her choices.
The bell chimes.
Lila bursts in, looking nothing like the polished VP she pretended to be. Her designer clothes are wrinkled, her eyes wild. You have to help me, she says. The investigators found everything, the fake accounts, the missing money. Daddy says he can't protect me anymore. I lean on my broom, studying her. Like you helped me? I was desperate. Her voice cracks. The company was failing. I thought if I could just move enough money around, make it look profitable for a few more months. So you decided to destroy my salon as a distraction? The broom clatters to the floor. Make it look like I was the failure? Evelyn, my mother starts, but I cut her off.
No.
You don't get to defend her. Not anymore. I pull out my phone, show them the screenshots I've been saving. Every transaction. Every emergency that kept Lila from working. Every supplier she failed to pay. I documented everything. Lila's face crumples.
Please.
The SEC agent said if someone vouches for me, shows I'm trying to make amends. That agent is my client, I say quietly. Has been for months. She comes in every Thursday for a blowout. We talk about all sorts of things. The silence that follows is deafening. My mother sinks into a styling chair, looking suddenly old. What do you want? Lila whispers. I walk to my office, return with a contract. The truth. All of it. In writing. About the garden, about sabotaging my salon, about the company funds. Then you'll work here. Actually work until you've paid back every penny you stole. From me and from Silas's investors. That could take years. Yes. I slide the contract across the counter. Welcome to honest work, sis. My mother stands, reaches for my hand. I pull away. You chose sides once, I tell her. Now I'm choosing mine. Lila stays, but you? You don't get to pretend you're proud of me now that I've won. The bell chimes again. Gideon appears with coffee and a supportive smile. First clients in 10 minutes, he says. Ready to get back to business? I hand Lila a broom. More than ready. We've got a lot of cleaning up to do. 1 year later, I'm closing up the salon when my mother appears in the doorway. She looks different, older, maybe, or just more real without her perfect makeup and designer clothes. Your sister's doing well, she says, hovering by the reception desk. The counseling, the community service, she's changed. I continue counting the day's receipts. I know. She actually showed up on time for her shift today. The silence stretches between us, heavy with unspoken words. Through the window, I can see Nana Ruth pulling up in her car right on time for our weekly dinner tradition. I've been seeing someone too, Mom says suddenly. A therapist. She's helping me understand why I always chose Lila over you. I set down the money, finally meeting her eyes. And I was afraid. Her voice cracks. You were always so strong, so independent, like your father. I thought you didn't need me, so I gave everything to the daughter, who did. Or who I thought did. Nana Ruth appears in the doorway, takes in the scene, and quietly steps back outside. You know what the funny thing is? I say, running my hand along the smooth counter of my rebuilt salon. I did need you, but I learned to live without you. And now I'm not sure where you fit anymore. I understand. She turns to leave, then stops. Your father would be proud of you, not just for the business, but for how you handled everything with Lila. You found a way to get justice without destroying her completely. That wasn't for her, I admit. It was for me. I needed to know I could be better than the people who hurt me. Mom nods, tears in her eyes. Would you consider having coffee sometime? Just to talk. I think about Lila, slowly rebuilding her life one shampoo and sweep at a time. About Silas, who lost his company but gained some humility. About revenge and forgiveness, and how sometimes they're not so different. Coffee. I say finally. Once a month. We'll see how it goes. She smiles, a real smile this time, and leaves. Through the window, I watch her pass Nana Ruth, the two women exchanging a brief nod. Gideon appears from the back room, where I know he's been pretending to inventory supplies. You okay? Yeah. I lock the register and grab my coat. You know what Dad used to say about forgiveness? What's that? That it's not about forgetting. It's about choosing to build something new from the ruins of what was broken. Outside, Nana Ruth waits in her car, and I can smell fresh bread through the open window. Some traditions, at least, remain unbroken. Coming to dinner? I ask Gideon. He takes my hand, squeezing gently. Wouldn't miss it.